Full 20-minute documentary-style voice script, AI-ready, immersive, paced. You think the internet is wireless. Wi-Fi. 5G, satellite. It feels like everything is floating in the air. Invisible. Instant. Everywhere. But that's not what's really happening right now as you're listening to this. Your data is not in the air. It is moving in complete darkness. Across the ocean floor. Through glass. Thin strands of fiber optic cable, stretching for thousands of kilometers between continents. Pause. More than 95% of the world's internet traffic flows through these cables. Not satellites. Not space. The ocean. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Now imagine this. A message leaves your phone in Taiwan. Within milliseconds, it travels across cities, through data centers, into a cable landing station. Then it disappears. Not into the cloud, but into the sea. Down, into the dark, carried as pulses of light, inside a strand of glass, no thicker than a human hair. That signal moves at nearly the speed of light. But even light has limits. So every 60 to 100 kilometers, deep beneath the ocean, there are machines waiting. Repeaters, silent, pressure-resistant, operating for decades without human touch. Amplifying the signal, keeping the data alive. This is not software. This is planetary-scale engineering. As a network engineer, this is the layer we see first. Not apps, not platforms, but structure. A layered system. Applications on top, cloud infrastructure beneath, physical networks at the base. And at the very bottom, cables. Cables that connect continents like arteries. Cables that carry financial transactions, AI workloads, video streams, entire economies. And yet, this foundation is not as distributed as people think. It is concentrated. It is fragile. And increasingly, it is controlled. Because all of these cables, no matter how long, no matter where they start, they converge. At specific points on land. We call them landing stations. Small buildings, often near the coast. Easy to overlook, but they are not ordinary facilities. They are gateways. Every piece of international data must pass through them. If the cable is the artery, the landing station is the heart. And whoever controls the heart controls the flow. Now here's where things change. In the past, undersea cables were built by telecom companies. Shared ownership, consortium models, distributed responsibility. But that model is disappearing. Today, technology companies are moving downward, into the infrastructure layer. Companies like Google, Meta, and Amazon are no longer just building platforms. They are building the internet itself, designing cables, funding them, owning entire routes, not renting capacity, owning the pipeline. This is a structural shift. Because now, the same entities that control your data, your platform, your cloud infrastructure, also control how that data moves globally. This is vertical integration at a planetary scale. And when your data travels from Asia to Europe, or from Europe to the United States, there is a growing chance it never leaves their ecosystem. So the question is no longer technical, it is structural. If a small number of private companies control both the platform and the infrastructure, what does that mean for the internet? For years, the internet was described as neutral, open, borderless, free. But neutrality depends on routing, and routing depends on control. And control is becoming concentrated. Now add geopolitics, because infrastructure is never just infrastructure. It is power. Between United States and China, undersea cables are no longer passive systems. They are strategic assets. Routes are negotiated. Projects are delayed. Permissions are denied. Not based on engineering, but on influence. Landing rights become leverage. Cable routes become alliances. And slowly, the global internet begins to change. Not one network, but multiple. Fragmented, shaped by power. This is sometimes called the splinternet. But the term is misleading. Because nothing is actually splitting. It is reorganizing into zones of influence. And while all of this is happening, there is a more immediate risk. Physical fragility. Because despite all the technology, these cables lie on the ocean floor. Exposed. Fishing activity. Ship anchors. Underwater landslides. Earthquakes. Any of these can break a cable. And when a cable breaks, the system reacts instantly. Traffic is rerouted. Congestion increases. Latency spikes. Entire regions feel it. Systems are designed with redundancy. Multiple paths. Backup routes. But redundancy is not the same as resilience. Because capacity is finite. When one path fails, others absorb the load. And performance degrades. Slowly. Quietly. And sometimes, the damage is not accidental. There have been incidents. Cables cut under unclear circumstances. No clear attribution. No immediate explanation. Because monitoring thousands of kilometers of underwater infrastructure is almost impossible. This creates a new category of risk. Not purely technical, not purely military. Something in between. For regions like Taiwan, this is not abstract. Taiwan is an island. Its entire digital connectivity depends on a limited number of cables. These cables connect it to major hubs in Asia and beyond. When they are stable, everything works. But when they are disrupted, the impact is immediate. Slower connections, reduced capacity, operational delays. For businesses, for finance, for communication, everything slows down. This is no longer just IT. This is infrastructure risk. And this is where your perspective must change. Because in 2026, you are not just using the internet. You are operating inside an infrastructure system. If you are building a business, especially across borders, you are making infrastructure decisions whether you realize it or not. Where your servers are located, which cloud provider you use, how your data flows. These are not technical details. They are strategic variables. Latency becomes user experience. Routing becomes reliability. Jurisdiction becomes compliance. And infrastructure becomes advantage. The companies that understand this design differently, they choose regions strategically. They diversify routing paths. They think in systems, not features. Because the internet is not abstract. It is physical. It is owned. And it is contested. So the next time you open an app or send a message across the world, remember this. Your data is not floating in the cloud. It is moving through cables, across oceans, through controlled entry points, through a system that is anything but neutral. Because in the end, whoever controls the cables controls the flow of data. And whoever controls the flow of data controls the structure of the global economy. This is the real architecture of the internet. And in 2026, it is becoming one of the most important battlegrounds in the world. End.